Give everyone a very warm welcome. My name is Deirdre Hughes. I'm a careers practitioner, I am a researcher, and I am a technology innovator. Delighted to have, in fact, we have 190 people registered, 166 from the UK, and colleagues from Ireland, from Australia, from New Zealand, from Malta, from Turkey, from Kenya, Pakistan, and Canada. So, a very, very warm welcome to each and every one of you. This is our webinar number 11 from our hashtag All Things AI webinar series designed by CareerChatUK, of which I am the founding director. You're in the hands of myself, David, and Chris today, where we're going to look at humans in the loop, real world models for AI and career support. And we're going to explore different approaches, key lessons learned, and what good practice looks like. So we've got an hour together, and in that hour, I really do want to encourage you, please do ask questions, have some reflections that you might put into the chat, because there's no such thing as a silly question. This is an hour together where we will learn from you, and indeed, you will also hopefully learn something from us as well. Of course, we want everyone to be respectful for everyone's views. And just to say that at the end of the session, yes, you will get a copy of the recording and the slides, and you'll also get an anonymized summary of some of the themes that have emerged in the chat. So I think without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to Chris, who'll then hand over to our guest speaker, David, and then you'll come back to me afterwards. So let's go.
So I think, Deirdre, yeah, we're just going to kind of give a little bit of an overview, aren't we, to start with about what's going to be coming up, and then we'll kind of crack straight on. So, yeah, you've got sort of three components, I guess, to today's session, really, for everyone who's joining us today. We've got some sort of little icebreakers and sort of thought prompts to kick things off around the idea of AI work in society and also how AI might help to kind of make work better rather than just being around kind of productivity, which we're going to come on to in a second. We're then going to pass over to David, who's very generously joined us today, and he's going to be speaking about the use of kind of AI within sort of assistive technology for accessibility, and some kind of reflections on his work in that space. And then we're going back to Deirdre for some reflections on 6 years of co-designing and delivering career chatbots, with a few kind of little treats to drop at the end as well, I think it's fair to say. So that's kind of ideally what we're going to cover today. And as Deirdre's mentioned, any questions about any of the components we talk about, do sort of engage with the chat, ask any questions, or as we're going to do now, share your thoughts and insights in the Zoom chat thread. So we're going to start off with a bit of an icebreaker that is linked around uses of AI that you've seen, which is going to, again, become a little bit clearer when I sort of expand on this in a couple of minutes. But what we'd like you to do is just share in the chat what is the most creative or useful application of AI you have seen to date and why. And this does not have to be career development related. It could simply be something that you've experienced personally, something you've seen at work, something you've seen somebody else using. But what we really want to find out here is, different perspectives. What is the most creative or useful application of AI you've seen to date and why? So we'll give people a couple of minutes just to float ideas in the chat. While we do that and while we're waiting, I'm going to pick on yourselves, Deirdre and David, and see if you've got thoughts on this question, I guess. So, David, I kind of come to you first. Lots of applications of AI that yourself were involved in generating, you've created yourself, but also that you've seen, I guess, and witnessed firsthand. How would you go about answering this question, I guess?
For me personally, or if I was
For
given
you
advice.
personally, for
For
you
me
personally, yeah.
personally, I dive straight in there with little chatbots and GPTs sort of 2-3 years ago, and then on a particular platform, pet bought-in platform, which is the only platform we pay for, I built a little dedicated careers chatbot. All our students are dyslexic, and it's just taken their independence to another level, to be able to ask those questions that, before they start having a conversation, those stupid questions, those silly questions, the chatbots, They don't red pen it or anything like that. And then from that work, like I say, I got involved with CC and big advocate for useful sort of dedicated chatbots within education. Safe and ethical use, definitely.
Fab,
Well,
thank
mine
you.
is
Oh yeah,
very
go on,
different.
Deirdre. I was going to bring in some other
Oh,
examples from the chat, but you go first, and then we'll bring them in afterwards.
well, I just want to say Hoover. The robot Hoover. I hate hoovering. And, is it the most creative or useful application? It would be definitely in the useful application, and whoever created it, I'm sure is a very rich person. But I suppose I feel as though the sort of AI is creeping in everywhere. So very quickly, I want to put up the argument that the Hoover is one of the most creative I have seen to date, apart from our own work at Career Chat UK. So yeah, I can see the conversation now. Chris,
Yeah,
over to
some,
you.
there's some very interesting stuff in there. I mean, chatbots make an appearance as well. So kind of coming back to David's
Yeah.
point, and I think anyone that's used and kind of built their own chatbots or GPTs will kind of know, oh, there was a problem that I thought this might solve, and actually I've managed to solve it. And that often can be, as simple as that is, that can often be the most kind of creative or most sort of practical use case many people come up with. Others have mentioned things ranging from CV development through to the idea of medical diagnosis. So, becoming obviously a much more prevalent use of AI. Creation of images for use in PowerPoint. I know sort of that idea of royalty-free images has always kind of been of that challenge when you create images for PowerPoints. Again, questions in there around copyright with AI, which would be another session in and of itself. But I
Mm.
think, yeah, we're certainly seeing a lot of people use AI for that purpose. People talking about kind of, yeah, videos. So again, being able to sort of create assets or media that perhaps does what you want it to do in a much shorter period of time than having to kind of create that yourself. Very, very interesting. And again, some kind of questions around copyright there as well. And yeah, quite a lot of, I guess, sort of quite simple use cases, but nonetheless really practical and really useful for people. So Notebook LM has come up, one of my personal favorites. So that idea of being able to generate new materials, infographics, slide decks, reports based on existing materials. So fantastic. Thank you for sort of sharing your thoughts in the chat. We'll kind of revisit these perhaps sort of during the session, but I'm going to pass back over to Deirdre before we move on.
Definitely. And please do remember that chat. We really do want to hear your views as well. And a big shout out to Sean Panting, who's on this webinar, one of my former students from many years ago, a careers advisor who still very much at the chalk face of doing really brilliant work. So hello to Sean. AI work and society. Look, I just really wanted to set the scene with five, if you like, seeds of thought for you, thinking about what the evidence tells us about the decade ahead. Because really, none of us know for sure what the decade ahead looks like, but why it matters for careers and society is important. So, one, AI will force a rethink of what it means to be human as it permeates learning, work, and daily life. Uh, Brilliant examples given in the chat. Institutions will need redesign from education and labour markets to welfare, governance, and democracy. Careers and job structures will change significantly, new roles, new risks, and new skill demand. Human agency may weaken if people over-delegate decisions to AI systems. And inequality, privacy loss, and political manipulation are widely expected without strong governance. Next week, I'm speaking at an AI festival down in Suffolk, and really it's sharpened my awareness of the speed at which AI is developing. And I think it's useful for us to have some big anchor points around the shifts. But Chris has got lots to say on this next topic that sort of links to the future of work and implications. So over to you, Chris.
So, Deirdre, having said all of that, there we go. I was going to say I needed a request to share my screen, but it's on now, so that's good news. So we hope this is going to be a little bit of a lead in to David's session, really around, I guess, the purpose of why, as human professionals or as career development professionals, we might be using AI. And I wanted to kind of flag first of all this article that's kind of been out in Forbes this week that you might have come across from Dan Fitzpatrick, who's very, very heavily involved in the kind of AI and education space. If you follow him already, you'll know a lot of his work. And it was really interesting. It was about the Microsoft Work Trends Index for 2026, which basically sort of found that there's only kind of 19% of those that had surveyed were really at the sort of frontier zone, as they called it, of AI use, where actually in teams they were regularly talking about how they were using it, about ethical implications, about workflow requirements, like where does this fit into the work that we do, and still the majority of people weren't really kind of touching the sides with a lot of this type of stuff. And again, that won't be maybe new news to anybody. But one of I think the most interesting things that kind of came out of it was this comment in the Forbes article, which is this idea that the goal is not necessarily more AI use, but it's considering how do we maybe make work better by use of this technology. And I know David's going to really sort of expand on that in terms of what he's going to be talking about. But what I wanted to do was just sort of show you a very quick example of, for me, where I think, maybe we might be going with this sort of thing. And I guess prompt a bit of reflection and thoughts and insights, anything you want to share in the chat around this particular question, which is what might better work look like within the career development sector if we are using AI? And again, that might not just be AI, it might be any technology. So what could that better work look like? So I'm going to kind of flag up on screen just an example of something that I've been building. And it's, one example of kind of many sort of things I'm experimenting with at the moment to think about how maybe AI might kind of change the way that we curate or kind of disseminate careers information or help people to explore career ideas, as part of that work that they're doing around career thinking. So the examples you're going to see on screen, these are designed through two kind of different websites that you might have come across before. The first one is one called Lovable, which you might have come across. It's one that basically allows you to sort of vibe code, as they call it, apps or websites or kind of little platforms or little applications based on kind of how you program it in the back end. And this is one that I've been looking at doing for our engineering students at the University of Huddersfield because we have lots of students that come on to degree pathways like mechanical engineering, and actually they have a very fixed view of where that might take them, what the job roles look like, where they might be working, where they might apply their interest in engineering within the world. And so what I guess AI is sort of potentially allowing us to do is think about how might we curate career thinking or career information on these type of pathways. And so what I've tried to build is a platform that rather than it being about engineering job titles. You're a mechanical engineer. You could be a mechanical engineer as a job title, a project engineer. We're starting from that perspective of kind of challenges, which I know a number of careers professionals will sort of be familiar with, but broader areas of work. Where might you want to make an impact as an engineer? What might that look like? So looking at kind of big, broader areas of work like transport and mobility or urbanization and infrastructure, linking that into things like the Sustainable Development Goals, very relevant not just on a global level, but also because so many employers include them on their websites. And also kind of trying to get them thinking in different ways about how might I explore things I'm interested in. So with this little guided explorer, it kind of allows people to look at, are there particular areas I might be interested in? And then actually, what might that involve? Is it about wanting to test whether something works safely? Do I want to design something new? And again, by doing that, then being able to kind of go into these broad areas of work and consider where that might take me. So this is very much in a kind of beta testing phase at the moment. But I suppose this is kind of one of the areas where I think AI is maybe allowing us to try different things, consider how we might curate information, present information, help people to explore their career interests in ways that maybe have been quite challenging to do up to now, or would have been quite difficult to replicate without this sort of technology. So I leave you really, I guess, with that question before passing back to Deirdre and then on to David, is from your perspective, from what you've seen so far, where could AI or other technology make careers work better, in your opinion, and what might that look like? So just a prompt, a reflection maybe to think about throughout the rest of the session. Back to you, Deirdre.
Thanks, Chris. And today is very much around, we want to also hear what sort of tools are you using that are actually making career development practice more effective, more impactful, or things that maybe you've used that you think, I thought it would do X and it's failed miserably. Because our webinar series is about all things AI, and it is about actually learning from mistakes as well as actually learning from the various tools that perhaps we've developed. And I think one of the things that's so important is to actually hear from people like our next speaker, David Curran, who is a teacher who will say more about himself, but has actually been using all sorts of different codes and different AI approaches, and like all of us, really learning along the way. So over to you, David. I'll let you share your slides and let's hear what your thoughts are.
All right. Hello to the world out there. Yeah, so my name's David Curran. I spent 18 years in state education. Started as a DET teacher, building up STEM programs, and obviously other teachers start asking, well, why can't you do it for our subject? So that became a careers program. So that's how I ended up in careers. This is my 5th year now. We are Moonhall School down in Reigate. We are a dyslexic specialist school. So I've gone from teaching 32, 34 students in a workshop to about 8, 10, 12 students, I think called assistive technology. So text to speech, speech to text, mind mapping. We've built our futures program within that. So they've got an hour on timetable. We've built an AI program within that as well. And that's kind of where I get the opportunity, not just sort of play around with AI myself, but also to get the students. Make sure we're creating, I mentioned before, safe and ethical environments for our students to experiment as well. I was up near Leicester yesterday, and a big shout out to the people that arranged the careers conference there yesterday. And what I did find was I had kind of something set in mind of what I was going to deliver, and I always kind of over plan. And in essence, I felt as though what I was delivering was kind of basic stuff. And what I realized was the disparity in technological use, not just by the end user, by our young people, but by careers professionals themselves. So what I did think was I would kind of refocus it back onto there. So if you're here expecting to see the next shiny tool, and I've just kind of got my head around on vibe coding, I was really excited about that. And Chris is using Lovable, doing stuff on Canva and doing stuff on Claude, and then Google lands yesterday, and all of a sudden you just realize that you don't know everything, and there's a long way to go. And just when you feel as though you get in there, something else comes out. But yeah, lots of great practice and lots of great stuff. So if I kind of share, and like I say, I'm going to throw up some questions. Normally with a bit more time, like I say, I get you sort of answer, but please, by all means, I've kind of, and again, I've edited from yesterday's responses from the careers practitioners that were there. But if you've got some suggestions, some thoughts, please throw them in the chat. All right, it's great for us to share and learn. I'm not sitting here dictating. These are my thoughts I've got from other people. Please throw some suggestions in the chat. Right, let's go. Let's give it a shout. I should be sharing. Somebody can give me a shout. Deirdre,
yep,
Chris?
All good.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
full screen it, and then you're good to go. All good.
Beautiful. Can I have that bit? Yeah, right. Okay, we're in. First and foremost, this little bit at the bottom, titles, subtitles. You probably can't hear, but over in the left-hand side, my daughter's with me today because she came in and did her English exam. Can't seem to watch TV or movies or Netflix or whatever without subtitles. Just simple accessibility features. AI, sort of generative AI, the last few years, we've kind of lost track of sort of the original AI was mapping shapes to sounds and sounds to shapes. So just on a little PowerPoint, just by clicking one little box, you can put your subtitles on there. And I can sit there or walk over to little Johnny in the corner who's maybe sort of pulling his pen apart, and just stand next to him, and all of a sudden he gets a little bit more focused. The reason being is all the students are zoned in on the words that are appearing, coding and notebook LM and all the smart and amazing things that's out there. Just something as simple, text to speech, speech to text. I kind of started, like I say, I went up, this was my AA route finder. What I was trying to explain here was the fact that yesterday I got in my car and I put my sat nav on, and I just trusted implicitly the AI feedback that I was getting from it. I didn't even question it. Okay, it's just become part and parcel of what I do. And then I think, well, if our young people are using chat GPT, or if they're using, I don't know, Snapchat AI in order to be able to gain their careers advice or well-being advice, I'm quite happy throwing all my trust into a sat nav. It's only a short step. So I've had to kind of learn what happens when the sat nav doesn't go right, So unfortunately, I got to the bottom of the road. They put up some roadworks because I was near my house. I just sort of knowledge, kind of jibbed around it, and then got back onto my sat nav, and I managed to arrive. If that had been at the other end, and I've had to sort of navigate, without my sat nav at the other end, maybe I might have had more problems. And I see this as being kind of part of our role now as careers professionals. It's become two journeys, hasn't it? It's become the journey that we're on. How are we using AI and assistive technology within to help us to create resources, or to help us with, create emails, or to sort our files. But also it's become more and more kind of our role, it seems, in order to be able to sort of provide these safe environments for other people, for our young people to explore
David,
through careers as well. So
sorry
I started off yesterday. Yep.
David, sorry to interrupt, but you're breaking up a little bit here and there. I don't know whether you can lean into your machine a little bit more, or we've just got a few people saying that it's broken.
I think, sorry, Deirdre, I think it's more of an internet connection issue than a sound issue. Because it's just a slight delay, David, on your
Right. If it gets really bad, then give me a shout, and what I'll do is I'll ad lib it and take off the slide deck. Yeah. Right. So yesterday I gave everybody a question and I got input. So if you're interested, please, and you've got some thoughts and suggestions, throw those into the chat. How much IAG does an end user really need from a careers professional nowadays? If our young people can go straight to a keyboard, or their phone in order to be able to get advice, then how much, what do they actually need from us? And what came out, my thoughts, and then yesterday, was about sort of the differentiating the IAG, so information, giving facts, the advice, suggesting options, and that's technology's become really, really good at that. But then it's the G bit, it's the guidance, the helping bit, the interpreting bit, the challenge, the acting, in order to be able to question the output. And I think that's part of my role as a careers professional now. Contextual user needs, so user support varies by age or confidence. So our younger people can starting to use AI, but they've also got the same experience with it as our sort of year 11s, or even sort of into sixth form as well. So the role of the professional guidance is essential. When we're interpreting the information, how to challenge, how to judge. It's all gone very quiet. Is there Deirdre or Chris there? Just give me a yay or nay.
We've got a few people saying it's really echoey and struggling to hear. Or if you turn off your video, but keep your audio and your slide sharing, it might just improve the sound quality. I wondered if it was maybe whenever we switched on the text, whether that might be impacted on it. So the joy of technology, we should never lean in 100% to it all of the time. But perhaps just...
is that any better?
Yes, that sounds better. We've lost your slides now. If you go back.
All right, we'll try with the slides. Let's go back and share. And again, if not, like I say, we'll come out of the slides. We're at the end of the day here, so we get all the parents driving past and stealing the Wi-Fi, I think.
I could share the slides from this end. I think maybe the text translation was where it seemed. Yes, but we haven't got your slides.
Right. Do you want to do the slides at that end then, Deirdre, and I'll give you a shout? Is that easier?
Very happy to do that.
Right, okay. Let's give it a go. We'll get there in the end.
That's okay.
So if I stop my share,
so you were here.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Then if we flick on the next one.
Go to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I then ask the next question. So if a digitally confident user, so if our end users that can get some good outcomes from AI, then what's our role now? Can they bypass us? Do they need to bypass us? And Deirdre sort of led up at the beginning about humans in the loop. I take it another step further. I talk about human in the building as well. I think in the loop kind of allows me to sort of, I'm aware of it, but step away from it. I feel as though I should be in the building, and that's in the building of the program, or in the building of the system with which AI is sitting on, but also physically in the building. I need to be there as a careers advisor so that the students have got somebody to come to. And also when they're sifting through their AI, that one-to-one, that one-to-one becomes really important. They've got all of this information, but have they challenged that information? It's easy just to go on ChatGPT and then find some information, just kind of think it's gospel, think it's truth, and that's the kind of way forward. So how do you interpret it? And again, those are kind of skills we've always had. It's challenging, it's asking the right question. So yeah, that interpretation, that challenging, that capability building, and the ethics, part of my role as a careers professional now, I've found more and more I'm kind of stepping back. I'm kind of showing my students how to use this technology, how to use the chatbots, and then kind of taking a step back and then watching them. So I've created the environment which they can then become more independent. And I found that with gaining that independence, like I mentioned before, they can ask their own questions. They're not having to ask in front those questions they might not ask in front of their peers because they might feel a little bit daft. They can ask a chatbot, they can get that information back. It doesn't care how they spell the word. If it understands it, then they can find out about apprenticeships, whether they can spell the word apprenticeships or not. And I think that's really important as well. They don't feel judged by a chatbot in the same way as they might feel judged by a human being. Okay, Deirdre, do you want to go again?
Yep, let's go.
Let's go. So the next question, who is most likely to benefit from AI? In IAG, and who is most likely to be left behind? And I think we come back to this equity balance, and the equity balance could be economic, it could be access to computers, access to technology. It could be as simple as the fact that, a child might use technology and then they move to a different part of the room and the Wi-Fi becomes a little bit of a problem, or they can't share a screen if you're talking with them, etc., etc. So yeah, it's that kind of, have they got the training? Are you fortunate to have that confidence or that training in order to be able to provide that for somebody else? So yeah, factors affecting accessibility. So confidence, language, cognitive load, all that influence how a user experiences AI. Are they able to to be able to access the information, to ask the correct questions, and once the information's come back, are they able to access that as well? The design, the mediation's importance. The resources that we create, we can't rely on AI creating these resources. We have that professional input as well. We are the human in the building. And then vulnerable user groups, groups which have low literacy levels, or they might be neurodivergent, multilingual, for example. If I put my subtitles up, I can put my subtitles up and I can change it quite easily. So as I'm speaking English, the subtitles in my class, I was working with a school that had quite a few Ukrainians in there. So just by using that technology, just allows more people to access the information that I'm giving them. Thank you, Deirdre. So this leads me back. Accessibility and inclusion. So built-in accessibility. So accessibility must be built in from the start. When we're creating our resources, are we building that accessibility in from the start? I asked yesterday how many people had sent out emails to parents, and everyone's sort of hand went up, in the last couple of weeks. And then I just said, but how many people have sent out voice notes? Somebody mentioned in the chat before about using Notebook LM and creating little videos. What a great way to get information out there. It's not just our young people, but their parents, their carers who might be dyslexic or have sort of visual impairments, who might struggle with reading text. I mentioned before about sort of multilingual. Can we produce information so that more people can access it? Assistive AI tools like text-to-speech and speech-to-text. Chris did his little bit with Lovable there. Like I say, I've done it with Claude now. Within my vibe coding, I can ask it and it will put a little text-to-speech, so I can click the little microphone and I can dictate in, which takes away from that sort of having to, lots of screen, lots of text. Immediately, I've just got to know. But if I can listen to that text, if I can dictate my words in, if I'm doing an interview or an application, can I dictate rather than having to actually sort of physically type? Clear language, reduced overload. Notebook LM is great for these infographics, but it can produce an awful lot of information on a page. So if you're sending that infographic out, again, like to parents, or if you're putting an infographic up on the board at an assembly in front of a whole load of people, or if I'm giving it to students while they're sitting, and I'm fortunate we've got personal devices here, but have I got a simple Word document? Yeah. So as well as all this visual, which might be a little bit cloudy, can they listen to the text in a simple Word document? Do I have a voice note that's attached to it? Okay. Great ways of just getting information out and more people can access it. Empowerment and respect. If a student has to ask, how do I access this information? They might not be sort of confident enough in order to be able to do it. So you're giving them that respect, that independence. Accessibility I see as the absolute core of effective career strategy. You know, and whether it's me giving information to students, whether it's me creating resources, whether it's me talking to parents and carers as the careers professional, whether it's them communicating to me, I'm got a big mantra about every teacher is a careers teacher. Am I giving my information? Am I disseminating that out amongst my staff so that they can understand it as well? So yeah, using AI, different reading ages, but again, do I have to have a worksheet or a handout? Yes, so what new skills do careers professionals need if AI is part of the practice? I stole this from the World Economic Forum last year. So yeah, if we're teaching this to our students about increased analytical thinking, creativity, AI, tech and literacy, all of these skills, but are we taking this on board ourselves as careers practitioners? Are we updating our skills as well? It's not only sort of making sure our young people are prepared for the future workplace, but are we prepared for the future workplace as well? Go on then, Deirdre. Cool. So what new skills do careers professionals need if AI is part of practice? So we're constantly having to evolve our skill profile. It's that non-technical emphasis as well. So focuses on confidence. We've already got a lot of the skills. We've got the analytical skills, the critical skills. We understand whether information makes sense. We know whether to ask the next question. It's just transferring those into digital skills. They're the same skills. They're the same skills we've always had. That judgment, yeah, that not giving up, that resilience, and transferring that to our students in order to be able to help them along their career path. And also adapting our professional identity. I think a lot of my students, when they kind of find out that you're into AI and they have that conversation with you, they've got confidence that what they're using and what you're telling them makes sense. I'm not just a fuddy-duddy that's over the hill that's saying, don't do this, don't do that. You can actually sit by the side of them and say, have you tried this? Have you questioned that? You know? So giving them the next step. Thank you, Deirdre. So yeah, safe and ethical professional guardrails. We always come back to this. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but yeah, I believe professional responsibility. I think ethically, morally, and professionally, I need to learn those skills in order to be able to transfer those skills. Accuracy, bias, awareness. I've got to be aware of it. So have my young people, and it's making sure they've got that safe place. Privacy, safeguarding. Make sure you've got, you're not just got ChatGPT where you're training stuff, you know, and your intellectual property is being leaked out all over the internet, but also making sure that students are aware when they ask the question, where's their information going? You know, so yeah, and yeah, back to the human in the building, building the resources and the buildings so that people can come and talk to you. So if weak AI use produces weak AI or IAG, information, advice and guidance, is AI use now part of the careers practice? Should we be teaching AI as careers practitioners? If we need to learn it, it's only kind of the next step. Prompt craft as a professional skill, alignment with guidance skills, you know, the government bring out new guidance. Responsible AI use, as well as me using it, making sure my students use it responsibly as well. Thank you, Deirdre. Sorry, I missed at the bottom there. So bias, hallucinations, we've seen these kind of validated facts. Things we've always done. Yeah, and why does this matter? I've taken a few little bits, and again, if we can distribute these, a little bit of further reading. Okay, AI gives faster starting points, but clients still need help. Yeah, to question and interpret what that produces. That's Ava Lovelace Institute. Confidence can mislead. Yeah, so our students are using AI, and that ChatGPT in particular, I'm not negating anything, is very, very kind of enthusiastic, always wants to help, you know, and you do get sucked into it. You believe that what's being output, and you need to learn to question that. Yeah, confidence can mislead. Evidence before enthusiasm. Again, we talked about hallucinations. And the role evolves. The role evolves as professionals, but the standards still remain the same. Yeah, at the core of it are our young people. You know, we've got to make sure they're prepared for the workplace, and as part of that, our role is evolving because we've got to be prepared for our workplace in the future as well. If you are interested, please do get in touch. I hope I've kind of given you something. I hope sometimes taking a step backwards, just something like subtitles, text to speech, speech to text, just help a few more people access this great information that we're giving out there. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, David. And at the end, we'll tell you how you can contact us, all if you want to kind of continue the conversation. So again, in the chat, Chris, is there anything in the chat that you want to sort of pull out before I maybe just very briefly now, share a 6-year journey on chatbot technology as a career guidance, fully qualified, trained advisor who, as a woman of a certain age, I have found myself really at the heart of career chatbot technology because I'm curious, because I want to make sure that my concern around technology coming in to career guidance practice and career guidance in its fullest sense that covers education, information, advice, and guidance. I want to make sure that actually we have the checks and balances in place to ensure that every young person and every adult really can feel safe and secure, really, in the use of different approaches to career exploration.
Yeah,
Chris, is
so
there
nothing
anything? Yeah.
nothing major in the chat. I
Okay.
mean, a lot of support, I think, for a couple of the points that David was making, particularly
Oh,
around that idea of LLMs and being quite, affirmative in terms of how they respond to people. And actually, as David rightly mentioned, where do people learn how to challenge this stuff? And
mhm.
certainly where we've kind of seen in the past, where social media being a massive kind of outlet or mechanism for people to access careers advice, often there isn't the challenge or the pushback unless somebody knows how to do that or they've already got those kind of career literacy skills. So a lot of kind of talk on that front. Quite a few
Yeah.
people sort of just asking about the recording and the slides, which again, as you mentioned, Deirdre, we'll obviously send out to kind of delegates afterwards. And then I think, yeah, David, you've just prompted some thinking, which I guess was the point of today's session, around stuff that might be missing or where technology can play a role. And Tracy's mentioned about, potentially subtitles in another language. Actually, yeah, can I look into that? And I think that sort of ability to take content, as you were saying, and thinking about the presentation of content, whether it's through audio voice notes, whether it's considering accessible options like subtitles, captions, all of those kind of sorts of things. There is technology there. Some of it's been there
Mm.
for a while, as you rightly mentioned. Some of it might be new, but it's well worth experimenting with, as you said, particularly because we're thinking about the end user at the heart of it rather than just use of technology for technology's sake. So, yeah, some really great comments in the
Great.
chat. And yeah, back over to
Lovely.
you, Deirdre.
Well, we honestly didn't rehearse this, David and I, in any way, or Chris, talking about text to speech and speech to text. But I want to show you something today. I may not have time to do a full demo of it, but I am going to quickly show you 3 different chatbots that we have built over time. In fact, we built 6 customized, fully customized chatbots, but I'm going to show you 3. But I want to just take you on the journey very quickly to show you, and it sort of illustrates that over the last 6 years, how the technology has moved at pace. So in 2020, in fact, 2019, I had the seed of an idea around could we use AI for social good? And could we train it to the limits of its capability to hand over to a human advisor? And I won a national prize. I brought on board my colleague, Dr. Chris Percy, and we started working on a chatbot. And what we did, and this is a fundamental thing in all of my learning, is that I didn't design the chatbot. Chris didn't design it. We co-designed the chatbot with careers practitioners in 3 cities. We had pilots. We also worked in London with a group of refugees with the wonderful charity FaceWorks. And actually, for 2 years, we were actually trying to work out what would the chatbot look like. CareerChatUK was founded in 2022, and the next important word that's been used already is from the get-go. I was determined that we would not lean in 100% to large language models and AI, that we would have a curated approach. And what that meant was actually the skillful practice of career development professionals working in tandem with large language models and keeping that warm handover to a human advisor. In 2023, thank you to Moresby, we actually co-produced a report where we were looking at what will the future look like for AI and career guidance practice. And if we've got time, there's a slide towards the end. But in 2023, we were finding, working with schools, colleges, universities, community organisations, that some organizations didn't want the large language model turned on. They just wanted the conversation flows developed by professional careers advisors. Fast forward 2024, we had more rollouts, we had research, and we had publications. And in 2025, guess what? Everybody is talking about AI, whether it's we need a policy, what are the ethics, what tools are we using. So we actually in 2025 were fortunate to get some funding to take CC, which stands for Careers Innovation, Careers Intelligence, to the next level, to actually upgrade it. And I'm going to give you a little sneak preview so that you can see the differences in the two. And at the same time, we had a college approach us to say, we're worried about our students. We've only got 5 careers advisors and about 6 personal tutors. And we have thousands of students and we want to keep them motivated and we want to build their confidence. And so we developed Future Track. And then where we are now in 2026, thank you to the Nuffield Foundation, we actually are undertaking a world first, really, in a 2-year research study led by the University of Warwick Institute for Employment Research on trialling an LLM framework. And both Chris and David are on the advisory group alongside a whole range of other practitioners, policymakers, researchers. So watch this space around the findings from that over time. But what have we basically been finding? Well, we've had over 25,000 plus unique users using CC, the chatbot. We actually have over 500,000 user messages now. And bear in mind that when people say, and we've also worked out a return on investment for organizations, where again, that return on investment is ensuring that humans are very much in the building and that actually they're finding that having chatbot technology is helping them in their practice. So what does good look like? Well, we'll all have a different view on what good looks like. But let me just stop for a second. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you 3 very different examples of chatbot technology and where we are in 2026. So here is CC. It's you're chatting with an AI assistant. Number 1, we always need to make clear what the privacy, the safeguarding, the policies are. So something to look out for if you're actually using chatbot technology. So just very quickly, I won't do a full demo, but I just want you to see that what we've been doing really with this chatbot is we've been looking at how can we get careers information, trustworthy careers information in the hands of individuals so that when they have their in-depth guidance meetings, actually they can be more effective. Now, I won't do the full demo, but I want to just point to the top right hand side of my screen where you'll see there's 3 little bars. And in those 3 little bars, actually, I was very passionate that we should be able to turn the speech
Choose a
on.
topic to start exploring.
And that's where we were when we started in, say, 2022, 2023. I'm visually impaired, so I really feel very passionate about this, having that text-to-speech, speech-to-text function. Also, I know parents are major influencers, and I know that not everybody speaks English as a first language. So with the support of Exeter University, we actually managed to get some funding to put over 115 different languages, and you'll see at the touch of a button, it will translate. It can download the conversation, and if the user so wishes, they can actually take that home with them. They can reflect on everything that they've done on the bot, but also it can be forwarded with their permission to a human advisor if they so wish. Here in the middle is the large language models. And as Chris said, we can just keep asking it questions and it will be very polite and it'll keep giving us answers. But here is our curated, these are conversation flows that careers advisors who regularly work with us quality assure all the content. And the whole idea really is that you can search 24/7. So look, that's where we were 2022 to 2025. Let's switch now to 2026. And I'm going to show you a beta version. So it's not in the public domain, but I want to demonstrate how things have moved on since the sort of AI advancements. So here you'll see that some people just want to get stuck in and ask questions. But to use Careers chatbot, I think responsibly, we need to know a little bit about what the person's hoping to get out of it. How ready are they? Just as we would do as a professional careers advisor, we'd contract with the client around, what might be most helpful for you right now. So we've actually inbuilt, if you like, a starter for 10. And I can change my answers if I so wish. Now here, I'm happy with what I put in. So we've got nice one. It's great. You're thinking about this early on. Here's a simple plan for you to follow over the next few weeks and months. Now we know that accessibility is absolutely key. So you'll see here at the bottom now, I can actually talk to it. I don't need to read. I could say I want information on nursing. It can give me information on nursing and I could say midway stop. No, I'm really worried about X and Y. I want to talk a little bit more. So we can actually, using the latest technology, we can begin to use chatbot and interrupt it, and we can be in control of the sorts of questions that we want to ask. So one of my big questions that people ask, I'm conscious of time, is very much about, well, what if I feel sad and worried about my future? Thanks for being honest. That takes courage. A lot of people your age feel sad, even if they don't say it. So, one of the unique features in the new CC2 that we will release in the autumn is that I have made sure that there is a strong well-being focus here. This chatbot will not stray off outside of careers, but it will be cognizant around the individual. So, very quickly, I'm going to jump now to, there is a dashboard that sits behind it. Chris, can you see the dashboard okay? I've
I
just
can. And just
switched.
before you go into that, Deirdre, just a quick question in the chat around
Yeah.
CC. And, is this an app? And just perhaps to remind people
Yes,
how you're working with
how we work.
organizations, or you might come on to
Fantastic.
that, I guess. Yeah.
It is not an app at this stage. It's a B2B license arrangement. We work with organizations, not directly with individuals. When we first designed it, someone said to me, you could charge £13.99, open it up, and anyone could use it. Chris and I are very anchored in the point of responsible use of technology. So we only want to partner with partners in schools, colleges, universities, councils, employers, sector bodies, if their values align with our values. And I'll show you what I think is missing in many of the chatbots that we've got. So here we can see the messages sent by users. This is anonymized information. We can see how long they're spending time now, the number of sessions people have had, the unique daily users, the time of day, how many wanted to hand over to a human advisor. But now we can actually get some insights as a result of using the chatbot. Did they make progress? Did they actually, how many of them sort of felt that they reached a clear next step because it's got inbuilt feedback? And what we've been doing is actually making sure that we can aggregate the user conversations and tell a story about what the common themes are that are coming up. And these can actually be used to actually inform practice so that in essence there may be something that integrated emotional and career support. Maybe an institution doesn't realize that their students are actually sort of wanting more of that, or support for health disability. So we're actually moving at a pace now, and most importantly, we have in CC1 and 2 a hierarchy of safeguarding. So if I say I feel sad, if I feel, suicidal, we have an alert system built into CC now where when we work with organizations, we can alert them. Now, I was going to show you another one, and I will do it, but I'm going to do it ever so briefly, just to illustrate. Here is an example from Sparshope College, where this chatbot looks a bit different to the two that I have just shared with you. This is an AI companion we've built for students, so they can check in any time of the day or the evening around how they're feeling about their course. So I've asked me sort of various questions quickly. I've responded. I'm on the course because my boyfriend was on it, blah, blah, blah. I don't like the course. And what it will do is it will produce a future track progression plan. So every student will have their own future track progression plan. It'll summarize what I've shared, the key things about me, my next steps, job ideas that might fit me based on the brief information that I've provided. I've said that I'm very shy and I like working in a team. It'll give me some practical actions, so it'll allow me to talk to people, to check out, such build my skills. I can jump into CC and do more in-depth thing, but I can actually book an appointment with a careers advisor now if I want to. I can click on Calendly and I can book straight in with an advisor and I can share my progress plan. So I'll stop sharing at this point and just invite you to sort of reflect on there's lots of tools out there that we can each use. I learn every day almost a new tool or a new bit of coding. I'm not a coder, but my team have got people who are coders, and David is also one of those. Um, I just was looking at Paula's message here. You mentioned age as an older practitioner. I have found the use of AI and tech in guidance challenging, but I'm getting better. Look, if I can do it, anybody can do it, is my message. If you want to see more of this, gladly, I'll give you the contact details at the end and we can spend a little bit more time looking at that. But let me just, because I've got a bit of exciting news to share in that we have a winner in a prize competition that we had, and I want to do a drum roll for that. But the most important question that I get, two questions I get every time. One, what about safeguarding? If you're using Microsoft Copilot or ChatGPT, in terms of safeguarding alerts, you will not get that. If in terms of thinking about what are your students actually using and asking the chatbot, you won't get that because actually you won't be able to see what's going in. We can see what's going in, and over the next year, we will be around the country, we will be doing much more around data analytics and showing what are young people, what are adults, what are we actually looking for? So I will share with you afterwards. This is a framework that comes from an academic book chapter that Chris Percy and I have written on conversational AI. But I would encourage you to think about safety, evolution, complementarity, user-centeredness, reliability, and explicitness.
Just very quickly, Deirdre, on that subject, because we've got a question from Elizabeth in the chat, which I think both you and David might be able to kind of pick up, was around how do the CEC, so the Careers and Enterprise Company here in England, and Ofsted view the use of career chatbots like CC. Now, there's kind of two different questions within there, which I know
Yeah.
David might be able to speak to the DFE kind of guidance around AI use, but Deirdre, I wonder whether you might want to pick that up just while we've got a couple of minutes.
Yeah, very briefly. If you came to our previous webinar, which was aimed at apprenticeship providers and training providers, we had lots of FE colleges, some universities as well. That will tell you exactly what Ofsted are looking for now when they go in and inspect on careers. So the answer is they are inspecting on this topic. And if this is of interest, just drop me a line and you can, well, actually, you'll see the recording on our website. In terms of CEC, I cannot speak on behalf of the CEC. All I know is that a lot of Career Hub leaders and others who work with the CEC are on a learning curve and are keen to find out more. David, do you want to add anything on the Ofsted? Have you been Ofsted it yourself yet in your school?
I am. I'm desperately pulling up the quote. Here we go. Yeah, to say I work with Surrey Careers Hub, and they've always been very sort of pro anything that helps advance sort of careers. I think it's a case of we hear a lot, don't we, about a tool in the toolbox. It's never going to be the magic one that waves and
Mm,
it's going to be the be all and the end all. But as a tool in your toolbox, providing again going back safe and ethical use, and we're making sure that our young people are using it correctly. We come under the ISI Independent Schools Inspection, and here's the quote from December 24. The Futures Programme is a comprehensive career and guidance initiative based on the Gatsby principles, which prepares pupils for future education or employment with workshops, external speakers, university leaders, cross-curricular interview. The career has created a forward-thinking careers programme that's highly valued by parents and pupils.
great. Great. Well, I think, we've got 3 minutes to go. We're not going to have time to sort of discuss and debate future scenarios and what it's going to look like in 9 years' time. But look, there's this paper that Morrisby in 2024 commissioned myself and Chris Percy to work on. And, if this is a topic of more interest to you, just drop us a line and we'll plan a webinar specifically around that. But there are these different scenarios, and none of us really know for sure how it's all going to pan out. But what we do know is that if you're using an AI model where you're paying $18.99 a month to use a tool versus just using ChatGPT, the chances are that you'll have less hallucinations if you're paying for something than you will if you're just using a free for all model. So we're on this journey around we have to make sure that humans matter more than ever, this irreplaceable role of professionals, empathy, and accountability. It's no longer, whether to use AI, it's how we use it. Human expertise is the quality multiplier, and evidence and evaluation matter. Watch this space, the 2-year project. I'll give you a link to that, and just stay with us on the journey.
And
Those are
just
my two.
finally, Deirdre, sorry, just very quickly, because Claire's asked a really important question in the chat around could potentially using CC meet Gatsby benchmark 8, so access to personal guidance for a school or college or independent training provider? I would certainly say no, in the sense that if you look at that kind of guidance, it's around having access to a qualified careers professional, which of course, no matter how much at the moment a chatbot has been programmed, it's not accountable in the same way that a qualified careers professional is, nor is it trained to that level. In the future, could that change? David, I'll throw that over to you. I don't know whether
Yeah,
you
can I
feel that there's
disagree?
a
Just
yeah,
well, we
yeah.
get a bit lively debate here, Chris, because actually it's careers advisors that are qualified, professionally trained, that are also using CC in their practice. So the reason that we have schools and colleges who have licenses with us is not just for teachers to give
Yeah.
CC to. It's a model where actually it's the careers professional advisors
I
that are
think what Claire was suggesting is whether that could be used as a
a
proxy.
replacement. Definitely
Yeah.
not. Definitely
I
not.
might be wrong, Claire. So tell me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, definitely not. Never as a replacement. And that's why you have someone like me who's dedicated a professional life to career guidance and believe in it so strongly that we have to have co-design, co-ownership, and we have to stay ahead of the curve on it.
But just very quickly on David's point, I think really
Hmm.
important that he mentioned earlier, if we're talking about Gatsby Benchmark 1, could a career
Yeah.
chatbot contribute to the whole school program? I think, David, it would be fair to say you'd feel pretty confident.
Yeah. You and I have had these conversations. Those one-to-ones are so invaluable, and if a student has had some access and got some information that they can bring along, they become invaluable. So
And
yeah,
maybe
as part of
also,
tool in the
yeah,
tool.
just to say in our literature, and you'll see how we view with practitioners, how we view this mapping for those colleagues in England with Gatsby benchmarks. We're always happy to talk to you and show you evidence on that. A big drum roll. We are now at the end of the session. I want to say thank you to our brilliant, my co-host and brilliant speaker, David. But I showed you CC2 beta version, which I think we probably will be ready to release in the autumn for sure, thanks to support from Innovate UK. And we asked people, this is part of co-design, we asked a whole range of people, we had a prize competition to give us feedback on an earlier version to the one that I've shown you today. It didn't have the text to speech to text in it, but we had over 60 people actually give freely of their time, stress test it, tell us what they felt was missing. And I want to really thank everyone for that. The drum roll is that Mark Anderson, who is a career coach based in Hove near Brighton, is the winner of the prize of a free annual license for CC to use in his practice. So he's been informed. I don't know if he's in the audience today, but really just to say we really believe at the heart of our work to give things back to people. On that note, I want to finish by saying that from September, we'll be doing something slightly different with our webinar series. It's been free throughout really all the work that we've been doing. And we're going to change it slightly, just simply because we are going to have a small nominal fee to be able to not just prepare this session, but to be able to send people the recordings, the summary analysis of the chat and the trends from that, and also the PowerPoint slides. So from September, I'll put it on our website. If you are a CareerChatUK customer, it will be freely available to you. If you're not, and I'm sorry to have to say that we really didn't want to do this to introduce, but we have to pay for the technology, we have to pay for all the overheads involved in this. So it'll be a very small nominal fee, probably £20, and that £20 will give you an hour of free CPD, it'll give you a recording, it'll give you slides, and it'll also give you a summary. If you've got strong views on that, come back to me. We're going to ramp up doing more training on AI and supporting CPD. And as I said, there'll be a few places that will be popping up around the country to compare, for example, if somebody is using CC in Darlington versus someone using it in Doncaster, do we actually see the same trends or do we actually see different things? So we'll be doing more with the data science that'll sit behind it. But we'd love to talk to you. Chris and I and David, we're like the three musketeers, aren't we, really? You can find us on LinkedIn. You can just stay in touch with us. No such thing as a silly question. We want to learn from you, and hopefully you can learn from us. So thank you for coming today. Your work is important. It changes people's lives, and really humans in the building is what we really are all about, around making sure that co-design, co-delivery, shaping it to meet the needs of the people that we serve is really what it's all about. So thank you very much. If you're a teacher, you're going to here in the UK, hopefully have a nice break shortly. It's a bank holiday weekend coming up for us all as well. So thank you for all your work, and do stay in touch, and we will see you again at some stage in the not too distant future. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Have a good one.
Bye bye.